Whenever you're ready. All right, hello everybody. I am Jermaine Alexander. I am the Campus Wellness Director here at Life University. So my job entails a whole lot. Like this right here, this is a good part of my job because it gives me the opportunity to come out and talk to students about like entrepreneurships. Now, I'm a science major, but just because you're a science major doesn't mean that you don't deal with finance. Like throughout my career, I've handled whether it was $1 million budgets or $4 million budgets. I've had staff of 10, I've had staff of 360. But for the most part, it's a business. At the end of the day, we run a business. So just a little bit of my backstory. I spent 26 years in orthopedic rehab as a director of strategic wellness at two separate hospitals. One was University Hospital in Cleveland, Ohio, and then another one was Sparrow Health System in East Lansing, Michigan. So I thought when I started out my career back in 1991, I started out in personal training. So who would have thought that, 37 years from then I would be like speaking at a college, university, or being in finance, or being an operator, or still doing orthopedics, or being in a leadership role. So with that, I spent over 26 years in healthcare, and then I spent another 10 years, well, I would say 8 years in fitness. So I spent, a portion of my career on the fitness side in the beginning, and the last portion, the last 26 years in healthcare, and then the last 4 years I've been pretty much here at Life University, not 4, but 2.5, almost 3 years. What else about me? I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I grew up, I played college basketball at Clark College, so that's what brought me back to Atlanta, was getting back to the warmth of this, this weather, and being up north, whether I was in Michigan or whether I was in Ohio, and I lived in Chicago, and I've traveled through Dallas and St. Louis, and so I've been moving around throughout my career, but this brought me back to being in a warm area. And I really like being back in Atlanta. So with that, I'm gonna hit this other slide. So primetime, are you ready for primetime? With a show of hands, who's ready for primetime? We're ready for primetime. Okay, and I'm gonna be interactive today. What is primetime? I think that was a question that Dr. Wilson and I talked about. What's primetime?
Peak of life.
The peak in life.
Yeah.
I would just thriving, doing your best every day.
Thrive, okay. I want to be interactive today.
I don't know.
What's prime time?
I guess it could be anything, right?
It could be what you want it to be. What would you want it to be? Yeah.
So what's prime time to you?
I would say the best time, I guess.
The best time?
Best life ever.
Yep.
I would say the same thing when you're at your best, at your special time.
Okay.
I think like prime time is when you're in the best time in your career and your lifestyle.
Right.
Maybe that.
And all of those are really good answers. And I think of prime time. So how many athletes do we have in here? All right. So I'll put it in that perspective. Prime time being that 7 p.m. game where millions of people is watching and all of the bright lights are on and everybody's watching you. So I would say like this right here for me, although it may only be 6 people here, it's still prime time because the lights are bright, and that's when I want to be at my best. So and that's the way life is. Like every day that I step out to come to work, whether it was in healthcare or whether it was in fitness or even like right now, it's like you on stage and you have to know your audience. So I look at prime time as being anytime I'm out performing. Like, so think about that, whether it's in sports or whether it's in education or whether it's in healthcare, that's my prime time. So prime time for me may be different from you, but it's still prime time. So I want to
pose the question. I was thinking more about your careers when you step out of Life University into the workforce. Are you going to be ready for them? Because you don't know, it may be a lot different than, well, it will definitely be a lot different from Life University, but it may be a lot different from what you may have expected to prepare for. So are you ready for it?
Are you ready? Are you ready? I think I heard that on like an announcement. So what I'm gonna walk you guys through today is I'm gonna walk you all through just like my business. And then I wanna talk a little bit about like some of the trends and some of the things that happen when you become an entrepreneur. Like, cause it's prime time for me. J. Alexander, the company, I started up myself probably 2 years ago. So less than 2 years ago, in July July 1st was the day we launched our business, all right? And when I launched the business, like, I had no idea about anything. The only thing that I knew is just a bit of my backstory. I have written 3 books already. So, and my books was based off of wellness. So initially when I got into it, I was like, you know, I already been writing for like all of these publications and everything. So like, it was so hard to just get my foot in the door. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna start a platform for people that may be struggling writers, or they may be struggling getting into, you know, like the industry, or getting a book published, or getting even a book viewed. I wanna start a company that's gonna help people not go through what I went through. And I had an uncle that owns like one of the major publishing companies in the United States in terms of street novel books, lockdown publications. And I went to him and I said, hey, I got this fitness concept, I got this wellness concept, I want you to publish my book. And he said, my people ain't gonna read that. My own uncle told me that. He said, my people want to read about like, you know, violence and crime, and I walked away with the manuscripts and I said, okay, so I figured out a way where I can do it myself. So I went and self-published myself, but then also I was forward thinking in the same process. I was thinking about like, how can I help somebody else get there? So when I initially started J. Alexander Publishing, it was only to help people like who were struggling to get like their manuscripts read. So fast forward, that was a year and a half ago. I had no idea. I had like a book in my hand, and I'm thinking like, okay, if I write this book, people gonna buy it. And I mean to tell you, writing the book was the easy part. Getting people to buy and get people to see your vision, and I'll talk a little bit about vision. They just don't see it as clear as you do. And you know, it took a lot of work, a lot of like 2 in the mornings, a lot of 5 a.m.s in the morning, getting up, going to sleep, just to push the book, but not only to start the company, and then not really having any background knowledge of like how, you know, how am I gonna do this? You know, so it took a lot of reading and stuff like that, seminars, workshops, just doing literally everything. And there's one concept that I always share with people when I'm speaking is that hard work beat talent when talent don't work hard. So I knew it was people that was probably in a better position than me, but I knew they couldn't outwork me. And so that's what I did. I took a pathway to say, you know what, I'm gonna outwork everybody. So that's a little bit about our business. So I'm gonna skip to the next one. So vision. Do everybody have a vision? What's your vision for the next 5 years or the next 2 years? This is the interactive part. Vision. What's your vision?
My vision for 2 years, like, is being working in an international company.
Okay.
And
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say more, but
No. I want you to say more. I want to
Okay,
hear. It.
because I think I plan my life for 5 years ahead. That's what I want to achieve. Like, focus in my career for 2-3 years, and then start like building a family.
Okay.
I would say do everything that I can and just enjoy everything and do not have any regrets.
Okay. Vision. What's your vision?
I would say to be financially free, but 2 years, you know, I'd say a little bit farther down the road.
Okay.
I would say find my location that I like to settle. I'm like hustling.
Okay.
For me, I would just say stay positive and enjoy the life.
Right.
That's all.
And I know you mentioned some other things too, as far as like your real estate portfolio, and then also being a pro. So that's a good vision to have too.
Finish my degree,
Finish
get
your
a
degree.
master's, and then find a job.
Right. And all of those, and I have a life's mission, a life's vision, and a life's values. Okay. And I'm going to share that with you. If you all don't have one, write it down, because everything that I do in my life revolve around my mission, vision, and values. Okay, so my mission is to help people reach their full potential spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially through wellness, right? My vision is to create a healthier world in those same areas. And my values are to model the behavior that I want to see in other people. So if you don't have a mission, vision, and values, so everything that I do is really geared around like helping somebody else, because everything that we get is for somebody else. So when you go out into your business, who is it for? It's to help somebody else, right? So I think about that. So if you don't have a mission, vision, and value statement, I would say start writing it down. A life's mission, personal. That's your personal thing, because everything that you do in life should line up with what your mission, vision, and value. If it's a job you come into. So when I looked at Life University as being, and Life University was one of the many companies that, well, I had 3 companies. I had 3 offer letters, like at the time that I chose Life's offer letter, right? And I accepted that and came over here. But the other companies were good places to work, but they didn't line up what my life's mission, vision, and values were. So I had turned them down and came over here. Life lined up with it. So if you don't have that, it's something to work on. One thing I do want to see is that your reality will almost certainly never match your vision, right? So like my reality when I first started J. Alexander Publishing was, I'm gonna sell all of these books. I mean, my vision was I'm gonna sell all of these books and I'm gonna be successful and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But when my reality, I only have one book in my hand, nobody to publish it, no company, right? So you wanna work towards that. And then one other thing I just want to say is whatever you do in terms of your vision and then your reality will where you at, stay committed to the process of what you're doing without being emotionally attached to the result or the outcome, right? A lot of times, if people show me their process, I'll tell you your result. You don't even have to go no further. Like my grandmother used to always tell me, if you show me your friends,
I'll show you your future.
I'll show you your future, right? And it's the same thing. If you show me your process, I'll tell you the result. So if you stay committed, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, stay committed to the process, the end result will take care of itself. And because one thing that's gonna happen is throughout everything, and I've learned this like personally from being an entrepreneur, is that throughout this whole process, I've faced like a lot of adversity and opposition, like all the time, trials, tribulations, like it's been like sleepless nights. So if I didn't stick to a process that I had in place, right, I would have reverted back to what my training was. So you want to make sure you keep that in perspective too. So mission, vision, and values. You want to make sure you have a mission, vision, value statement. All right. So just a little bit about J. Alexander, and we're going to slide into it. So this is our portfolio right here. And last night I was up to like 1 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, and I was setting like up plans for merchants for Sam's Club and then also the Dollar Tree. And it's something specifically that I want to get in the Dollar Tree. Now mind you, I'm gonna backtrack. When I first started this company, it was only to help publish people's books who couldn't get published. And I had my book in hand. So in 2 years' time, what we've done is we've shifted our mindset, and I'll talk a little bit more about being agile, right? You got to have some agility as a company, as an individual, like, because sometimes things not going in the direction. You might have your vision on one thing and your mindset on one thing. So my reality was this, my vision was that, but I need to make a shift, so I need to be able to pivot. So right now, we currently running on Amazon, Walmart, Temu, Shopify, Shein, Fair, TikTok, Etsy, Pinterest, Groupon, Facebook Marketplace. We have 2 partnerships, so 2 sister companies that we work with. Juice Plus, and then also B3 Sciences. Juice Plus is a plant-based company that we onboarded with, to a plant-based supplement company that have vegetables and fruits. I'm vegan, so vegetables and fruit supplements that people can have and they can get their daily requirements. B3 Science is a company that I work with me being having an orthopedic background in rehab. B3 Science is a company that actually sells equipment and training and things like that to help people that's coming off of recovery. So B3 Science is a company that specializes in what we call blood flow restriction training, right? So we partner with them. So we have 2 separate companies, and I'm gonna go somewhere with this, but we have Goodreads books. We are working on that bookstore, Google Play Store, BookBub, and then Pango Books. And then also we just went into fill out agreements for Sam's Clubs and then also Dollar Tree. We tried to get in Target. Target shot us down, but I think we can get in this year. So mind you, when I go back, all of the things that we have done over the last year and a half, right? It don't have anything to do with books, but it does have something to do with books. We just shifted our mindset and to say, well, you know what, we can branch off. So one of the things that J. Alexander has is we sell books. Specifically, we have 4 authors or 5. Our youngest author is only 9 years old, right? His book does well, right, for kids' books. And we've shifted our mindset because we know that wellness is not just physical, right? I wrote books about, being physically well. Wellness can be spiritual, right? My mission, my vision, my values, mental, emotional, financial, right? So it could be all of those. So now what we've done, we shifted our whole mindset to say, okay, what can we do to be better or to be cutting edge and not just like any regular publishing company? So we started these online storefronts, And then just last July, we picked up a brick and mortar location to be able to go in and sell what we needed to sell. So when I thought about it, it was only gonna be books. But I'm gonna show you something because I brought some props. So we said, we doing things spiritual, right? So why not bring merchandise to your company, right? So why not bring wellness equipment to your company? We got a brick and mortar location, so we brought out merchandise. So not only did the merchandise start to do well in the brick and mortar, the merchandise is sold on all of these platforms. So do we stop there? No, we don't stop there. What we do, how can we distribute like broadly, like, you know, not just, you know, globally? How can we distribute not just in the United States or not just in this region in Georgia? Okay, so we not only did an online storefront with Walmart, but we became a supplier to Walmart. Now we have to do another connection to another company, which is Cotton Connect, who do who Dropbox all of your shipments to different locations. Now I want to tell you something right here. I had no idea about Dropbox, supplier. Only thing I knew is I had a book in my hand, and then also I had a publisher name, company name. So that's how we start up. So that's a little bit of the backstory with us. All right. So who know who Jim Collins is? Anybody know who Jim Collins? Now this is where we're going to talk a little bit about like prime time. Jim Collins wrote this book called From Good to Great, or Good to Great. He's one of the first leadership books that I ever read, right? So, and I like to read leadership and talk about leadership because we all are leaders. Who do we lead every day? Ourselves, right? We lead ourselves every day. And the book is about leadership, but he talked about companies, right? And he said the one company that he focused on specifically was Southwest Airlines. And Southwest Airlines is probably not the best airlines right now. So they went from good to great, but he compared them to different airlines. And the one thing that he said was that the vast majority of companies remain only good because they fail to make the conscious choice, the disciplined choice to pursue greatness, right? So how do I want to be? How do I pull our company into that concept, right? We would have been good with just having like a Walmart location, but we want it to be great. So how do we branch off to be great? We have to be cutting edge. We have to do different things. We have to change what people are doing, what companies are doing, what small businesses are doing. So that's the concept that we had. So basically, I put on there, we had to be agile. We had to have some agility. You have to be able to pivot in business. But leadership is super important. He talks about leadership. He talks about good is the enemy of great, but also the book Good to Great is one book, but then also he wrote a sequel to that is called How the Mighty Fall, right? And the mighty is like the big companies that were doing good. I think about a lot of companies that probably failed. One is you have to have, level 5 leadership. So we'll talk about leadership. So you have to have good leadership. And not leaders, there's a difference between leaders and managers. Managers manage processes and situations, right? Leaders, we're gonna go back to that word, cast a vision, right? And they cast a vision and then they get everybody to buy into that vision, right? So that's the super important. It's the difference between managers, manage systems and processes. Anybody could be appointed a manager. You got qualifications, maybe you know somebody, maybe it's a position to where you've been working at that company for a while and then you can be pushed into that position because you know the company. But managers usually stay at a certain level. So you have 5 different levels of managers, right? So you got your level 1 manager, you have who's appointed, you have your level 5 leader who is casting that vision. So level 5 leadership is one of the things that my boss used to always talk to me about. So Jim Collins, if you haven't read this book right here, Good to Great, that's a great book in terms of leadership. And then one of my other favorites is John Maxwell, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. So those books are really solid books, and we like to teach out of those books for our leadership training, Brain Trust. So remember that, good is the enemy of great. Who want to be great? I want to be great. You want to be great? Okay.
Hashtag Backing Balance by Jermaine Lavelle Alexander, and here was my experience.
So, one of the ways to be great, like I mentioned before, and Dr. Phillips asked me to put this in there because I wanted to kind of touch base on this. One thing we did was, we knew that from our business perspective, one of the biggest things that we had to do was we had to figure out how was we going to market. So, how do you know McDonald's? How do you know what McDonald's is? What do you know? What do you know McDonald's for? By and for?
Franchise?
French fries. What
No, I
else?
said franchise.
Franchise. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? What do you know McDonald's for?
Burgers.
Burgers, right? Right. But when you think of brand recognition, how do you know McDonald's?
The big logo.
The big logo, right? Same thing with Target. Same thing with, Walmart, right? You know the logo. So we didn't have any brand recognition, right, in our industry. We were like literally nobody. Like I used to be posting on Facebook and stuff like that, and people, I could just you could see the comments and how people react when you talking. That like they like this ain't gonna work, right? But I had a vision, right? And I was like, no matter what, I'm gonna put the work in. But then we didn't have any brand recognition. So one thing we had to do was we had to go out and figure out like what works. Like how do we get our name out there? How do I did 19 book signings 2 years ago. And I mean I was exhausted trying to get my name out there, but nobody really knew who we were, right? So it was like I didn't have brand recognition. I didn't have anything, and which prompted me to do something a little bit different too. You guys like forced me to level up my game, right? So we'll come into this class and I'll tell you how. But I had to figure out a way, how do I get brand recognition, right? This is our logo right here. Don't nobody know that, right? So I'm gonna tell you something, little secret. I am going to revise my logo. I'm going to do a logo to where people can actually recognize and identify with who J. Alexander Publishing is as a company. Like whether it's on Walmart, Amazon, whether it's at our bookstore, we have a book boutique and wellness shop in Roswell, Georgia. Whether it's there, but nobody don't know me. Nobody don't know us. So how do I get that out, right? So that's where your marketing and your advertising come in. So J. Alexander Publishing, we do 90% of our business through 90% of our advertising is through stuff like this, through social media. We don't have a big logo or a big banner or anything like that. So everything we do online, so we had to figure out, okay, what do we need to do to get people involved? And I'm gonna show y'all some numbers that's gonna be like wacky, like cause I did those last night. I was up to one this morning, like, okay, Chandra, I gotta do this. That's my wife. But we started out with just the basic. That's me. Nobody know me. Like, so when I'm thinking of 90% of my stuff, advertising is online. So if I drop this video online, it's probably not gonna get the algorithms that I need in order for the people to reach, to see me, to see our company, to see what we're about, to see that we have a podcast, to see that we have a physical location, to see that we have 17, 18, 19 online storefronts, to see that we have kids books, we have a partnership with a supplement company. This won't get it, right? So one of the things that I had to do was I had to think like, okay, how can I be cutting edge? What's new? What's the latest? So this is where we talk about like Canva, ChatGPT, Gemini, TikTok, CapCut, and then just the regular TV ads, right? So all of those things were good. So the one thing that I noticed is that and I didn't do year-over-year numbers, but I wanted you guys to see like from a data standpoint how it works, right? So if I just post that video, and I'm gonna play it for you guys. Jermaine coming to you with J. Alexander Publishing. Hey, I am at our physical location located in Roswell at 606 Holman Bridge Road. Hey, if you haven't had the opportunity to stop in at the Roswell Marketplace, the West Side Marketplace in Roswell. This is where our location is. We are at Unit 303. Some of the things that we have here, we have supplements here, Juice Plus supplements, so that's all your vegetable plant-based supplements that we have, whether it's gummy form, tablet form, or powder. We have merchandise that go along with that. So our custom shirts with spiritual quotes on them, custom cuts and custom hats with spiritual quotes. And then lastly, we have all of our books. And our books will be, whether it's the Active Balance, whether it's the Power of Prayer, the Stretch Zone, we'll have all of those books available here alongside some other authors. And then we also have some small equipment that you can use that goes along with the books. So if you haven't had an opportunity to get out to J. Alexander Publishing, or if you haven't had an opportunity to get out to the West Side Market in Roswell, make sure you get out here. There's a lot of things going on. I appreciate your time. Hey, never let anybody steal your peace or your joy. Now that video is only gonna go so far, right? Because it's not gonna pick up the algorithms, right? So it's almost like your algorithms based off of what you continue to watch. I might get, say 103, and I know the data, I might get like 100 views from this, right? But then I'll come over here, and then I said, well, you know what? Let me see where this is at. Let's try.
It's like you're not quite fitting in with the crowd. Well, I've got a
Let's
story
try
that'll resonate
TikTok
with you.
videos
Alexander Publishing
and see if
just
they
dropped a
can do it.
mind-bending novel called They Not Like Us. It's all about embracing your uniqueness in a world that's trying to make you conform. This book takes you on a wild ride through the lives of characters who are anything but ordinary. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll definitely see yourself in these pages. Trust me, once you start reading, you won't be able to put it down. It's like the author crawled inside your head and wrote your life story, but way cooler. So if you're tired of feeling like an outsider, grab They Not Like Us and join the club of misfits who are changing the world. Don't miss out on this literary gem.
Now, that's an AI video, right? So the one thing about that video, that was one of the first AI videos that I did. Like, now mind you, we trying to push this business into another level, right? So I just did a test pilot for that video. I don't even have a book called They Not Like Us. I just said I need to make a video to see how it moves. So it was a trial. So I went from 100 views on that to like 1,100 on this, right? So it started to pick up the algorithm. So people like looking at it, right? So that was on CapCut, right there. And well, it was actually on TikTok, but I dropped it into CapCut. So this is the same one. This was more of the content that we did. And I'm gonna just show y'all a couple more videos, right?
I tried Back in Balance by Jermaine Lavelle Alexander, and here was my experience. It completely transformed my approach to health and fitness. This guide doesn't just focus on physical exercise, it's a holistic journey to wellness. From mental clarity to emotional balance, it's helped me overcome obstacles and unlock my full potential. If you're looking for a life-changing path to vitality, this is it.
So I went from like 1,100 views on this to closer to 2,000 on that, right? And then this one right here is similar. So I showed you a little bit of Canva, I showed you a little bit of ChatGPT. This is a ChatGPT caricature that I put up here. Now the reason why I was with Dr. Phillips and I was like, she told me about this caricature. I'm always like me, I will not leave not one stone unturned when it comes to like getting feedback and information, right? And Dr. Phillips had told me about like, people posting about their caricatures. And I was like, I need to get one of them. And I text her later in the evening like, hey, can you send me that, what I'm supposed to do? So what I did was I put in all of my information. I dropped the picture in, right? Life University, publishing company, books, right? And this is what they gave me, right? Go ahead.
So I have a question about your marketing.
Uh-huh.
From what I understand, when it comes to marketing, the best way to get it out there to work in numbers is to work without proof of concept, something that already works for something else,
Mhm.
and for someone else. Do you have anyone that you look up to and you're trying to copy his style of marketing?
No, I don't. The one thing that I do is like, not from the business side of it, not just from advertising side of it, this has been more trial and error for me, so I don't have like one specific person, because I was sharing with Dr. Phillips yesterday. I said, me and my wife, we watch movies, but we watch movies for two separate reasons, right? She watching the movie and she like dialed in like, hey, this movie great, blah, 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 blah. Me, I'm watching the movie to see what I can pick up on, what motivation I can get from it, what can I use from it, right? So I don't have like one person, but the one thing that I do is I look at like every business, right? Because you gotta treat it like buffet style. I'm pretty sure I can pull from everything online that I see, right? So when I might be online and I'm trying to, pull back some of the time that I'm online, but I might be online, but when I'm watching a video or I'm watching content or I'm watching anything, right, I'm pulling something from that, because everybody got something good. And I'll look at like an Inky Johnson or like Pastor Philip Mitchell, and I look at their content, and I look at, or like Eric Thomas, who's a motivational speaker, because I do speaking engagements as well. I'm a part of Speaker Hub too. So I look at all of them together. I look at like Country Wayne, like what is his content? What is his messaging? Although it may be like hilarious and funny and comical, it's a reason why people watching it. So I pull from literally everybody. So it's not one specific person. I looked at like this one guy that I'm following on his podcast. His name is Craig Rochelle, right? And the one thing that he just so solid in terms of his shorts and his reels. But as far as like from a business perspective, I don't look at one specific company and see how they act. I'm looking at literally everybody. When I'm watching TV, if I'm watching TV or I'm online and I'm watching and I'm scrolling through, I might read through. But the first thing that I do, which I'm gonna come to, is the first thing I do is if I see an ad, I go to the comments, and I'm not going to the comments to see what they said about the content. I'm going to see if they say, well, and I mean, and this is where I wanted to go with this, and I'm glad you asked that question too. That's a